What if I told you the God you've been searching for has been quietly creating through you all along? Every failure you blamed on fate, every breakthrough you thought was luck, every prayer you whispered into the silence was your own imagination at work, shaping reality without your awareness. And the moment you awaken to this truth, everything changes. Some people seem to move through life with a quiet, unshakable power, while others drift aimlessly, waiting, begging for change. The difference is not luck. It's not destiny. It's a sacred truth hidden in plain sight, disguised as something ordinary. Your imagination, not the kind they told you about in childhood fairy tales, not daydreams or make-believe. This is the imagination that creates worlds, subtle but absolute. It does not wait for proof. It does not ask for permission. It simply creates through you with every thought you choose to believe. And when you see that, the gap between who you are and who you long to be is no longer a wall. It becomes a door that opens inward. But the world has taught you to seek outside of yourself, to believe power comes from effort, approval, or chance. All the while, the true power was here, waiting. Not metaphorically, literally. Your imagination is not just a passive tool, it is the living presence of God within you. Ignore it and you drift. Awaken to it and you command. You are not here to worship a distant force. You are here to remember what you already are. When you ask people to describe God, they almost always point outward, to the heavens above, to a book, a statue, a distant sky. The world has taught us to project the most sacred power onto something far away, something separate, an invisible judge, a cosmic parent, a divine being hidden behind the stars. But the real God has no face of stone, no image carved by human hands. The real God is closer than your next breath, hiding in plain sight, speaking through silence, moving quietly in every thought you dare to believe. And that God, the only God that creates, is your imagination. At first you may resist this idea. It feels too simple, too intimate, too human. But that is the beauty of it. The greatest truths are never locked behind hierarchy or ritual. They are buried inside you, waiting. Your imagination is the proof, the living evidence of the divine. It does not roar with thunder or blaze with fire. It works in stillness, in quiet certainty. It does not ask if your thoughts are good or bad. It does not weigh your worthiness. It simply gives life to whatever you hold as true. It shapes the unseen into form, turning your assumptions, your inner dialogue, your silent beliefs into the reality you walk through. And it never stops. It is the ceaseless, invisible engine of creation. And that engine is holy. When Scripture says, "I am the Lord and there is no other," it is not pointing to some distant deity in the clouds. It is pointing inward. Be still and know that I am God is not a command to worship something outside of you. It is an invitation to quiet the noise of the world and recognize the Creator within. That Creator does not live in temples built by hands. It lives in the stillness of your awareness, in the pictures you hold in your mind, in the feelings you refuse to let go of. Your imagination is not a childish escape. It is the true sanctuary, the Holy of Holies. Ignore it and you wander in circles, powerless. Awaken to it and you walk in light. This power, this sacred imagination, will create whatever you deeply accept as true, whether it blesses you or breaks you. That is its mercy and its perfection. It does not demand worship. It only asks for recognition. When you see yourself as small and unworthy, your imagination becomes the God that proves you right. When you feel empowered and whole, it becomes the God that confirms your strength. It does not judge, it mirrors. It gives life not to what you wish for, but to what you embody. That is why it is sacred. It cannot be deceived. So stop chasing a God in the clouds. Stop waiting for signs or angels at your door. You have already been entrusted with the divine gift, your imagination, and it waits for your command. To use it is to awaken. To deny it is to suffer. You do not need to find God. You need only to remember the divine has no form but your own. your thoughts, your visions, your inner states. These are the brush strokes of creation. And when you truly know this, you are no longer a servant to life. You become its sculptor. You were taught that power lives outside of you, that it hides in sacred places, in other people, in distant things. But if imagination truly is God, and it is, then the holiest temple was never built of stone. It was built inside you. The presence you've been told to worship was never somewhere far away. It has always been thinking through you, dreaming through you, creating, moment by moment, through the pictures, emotions, and assumptions you hold within. And yet for most, this creator is forgotten, not because it is absent, but because it is too close to see. Everything you experience begins in the unseen. The instant you accept something as true, even unconsciously, your imagination begins weaving the chain of events that will bring it to life. Not through effort, not through chance, but through law. Your imagination does not need permission. It does not need others to understand. It does not even need validation. It only needs your awareness and your direction. Walk through life asleep to this, and you become a passenger. Awaken to it, and you become the author. This is not poetry. This is structure. Reality bends to belief. Not the belief you speak aloud, but the belief you live inside. The belief written quietly into the backdrop of your self-image. Most people pray for change, while nurturing the same mental habits that created their present. They cry for transformation, yet cling to the very assumptions that guarantee nothing changes. You cannot plant seeds of fear and expect to harvest peace. You cannot whisper to yourself of lack and expect abundance to bloom. Imagination is precise. It does not respond to your wishes, it responds to your assumptions. It hears what you say to yourself when no one else is listening. So ask yourself now, what have I been imagining? What story have I been rehearsing each day in the quiet of my own mind? Because that story is becoming flesh. The world is not happening to you, it is happening through you. And until you turn back to the creator you've forgotten, your own wonderful human imagination, you remain a servant to your own unconscious designs. But once you remember, truly remember, you no longer wait for change. You command it, because you are not here to worship the Creator. You are here to awaken to the truth that you are it. And once you truly remember that your imagination is the Creator, something profound shifts. Life is no longer a string of random events, no longer ruled by invisible forces beyond your reach. You begin to see the pattern, how every quiet assumption you've held about yourself, about others, about the world, has silently shaped the path beneath your feet. The outer world becomes a mirror, not of your effort, not of your words, but of your inner states. And this mirror does not lie. It reflects back to you whatever you dare to claim as true, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. And this is where so many falter. They long for change, yet refuse to release the identity they've wrapped around struggle, doubt, and limitation. They try to shift circumstances without first shifting themselves. But a mirror can never show you a new reflection if you do not first move your face. Assumption is that movement. It is the quiet, inner acceptance of a new state, not as a distant dream, but as your present truth. And the moment you persist in that assumption, your imagination, the God within you, begins to arrange the world accordingly. You may not see the change at once, but imagination never fails. It works faithfully even when you've long forgotten the seed you planted. Whatever you assume as real, even for a fleeting moment, begins to draw toward itself the people, the circumstances, and the outcomes that match its frequency. This is not wishful thinking. This is the law. Reality does not bend to what you want. It bends to what you are, and what you are is nothing but what you have already accepted within. So the question is no longer, what do I want? The question becomes, what am I assuming right now? Because assumption is prayer. Assumption is prophecy. You do not beg the mirror to change. You become the new image, and the mirror must follow. The world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match the state you persist in. Even your challenges, even your struggles, take the shape of the story you continue to tell about them. Nothing escapes the law of assumption because nothing escapes the power of imagination. You hold this mirror in your hands at every moment of your life. Use it unconsciously and it reflects confusion. Use it deliberately and it reflects mastery. So begin, now, not later, to watch the story you whisper to yourself. Speak from the state you desire. Think from the version of you who already has what you seek. And when you do this, the mirror cannot help but comply. It has no will of its own. It only returns what you give it. And if your imagination is God, then assumption is creation. Dare to assume with clarity and conviction, and watch as the world begins to recognize you, not as who you once were, but as who you have already become. If assumption is the seed of reality, then hunger is the soil it grows in. Desire is not weakness, it is sacred, a divine signal from your deeper self, calling you to expand, to embody more of what you already are. But here's what few understand. Your hunger was never meant to torment you, it was meant to guide you. That longing you feel is not some random craving. It is proof, evidence, that your imagination already holds the pattern of that life within it. Every true desire is a whisper from the God within you, saying, "This is possible for you." But desire without direction turns into suffering. When you don't understand the creative power of your imagination, you mistake your hunger for lack instead of guidance. You fixate on what's missing and unknowingly call forth more of it. But when you begin to walk in assumption, when you live as though what you desire is already yours, something shifts. The hunger transforms from pain into power. It becomes fuel. It sharpens your vision, focuses your energy, and draws life toward you through what Scripture calls the bridge of incidents. This bridge is not straight. It rarely seems logical. It may even look chaotic at first, but it is perfect. Imagination does not need to know how. It simply defines the end, and life assembles the middle. Events, people, so-called coincidences, all begin to arrange themselves in harmony with the vision you've claimed. But most people abandon the process too soon. They plant the seed, then doubt. They ask, then cancel it with fear. Imagination does not respond to fleeting wishes. It responds to faith, to persistence. It brings to life what you hold steady, not what you visit only now and then. So do not mistake movement for failure. Even when the bridge looks messy, the world is already reorganizing itself around your inner command. Stay faithful to your vision. Walk as if it is already done. Speak from it, not toward it. Feel it now, not someday. You are not waiting for life to deliver. Life is already moving. The only delay is the time it takes you to believe. The longer you hesitate, the longer the bridge takes to complete. Your imagination does not wait for signs. It is the source of them. So stop questioning your desire. Start answering it. Hunger is holy when it leads you inward, when it calls you to assume the end and live from it. This is not about force or struggle. It is about surrender to the truth that what you seek already lives within you. The bridge to it is built by imagination alone, and every step across it is an act of faith in the God you carry, not above you, but within you. And once you understand that your imagination builds the very bridge of your life, a deeper truth begins to reveal itself. With that creative power comes a sacred responsibility, because you are never not imagining. You are never not creating. Every idle thought, every quiet assumption, every unnoticed feeling is a silent command sent into the unseen, and it must return to you in form. Whether you are aware of it or not, your imagination is always at work, shaping the conditions of your life with perfect precision. And this truth is not here to burden you. It is here to set you free. To see imagination as God is to know you have never been a victim of circumstance. You have always been its author, not in blame, but in authorship. Every story you rehearse, every role you accept, every identity you refuse to release, gathers strength through repetition. And imagination, being God, never resists your choice. It does not scold. It does not correct. It simply gives. If you imagine limitation, it becomes real. If you imagine freedom, it becomes real. The sacredness is in this. You choose, and yet most people shrink from this responsibility. They would rather bow to doubt than stand in the quiet majesty of their creative authority. They treat imagination like a passing thought instead of the divine force it is. But when you finally stop and see clearly, when you truly grasp that every vision you hold is a seed destined to grow, your relationship with life is never the same. You stop speaking carelessly. You no longer let fear sit unchallenged in your heart. You become intentional, not out of fear, but out of reverence. You are not here to control every outcome, but you are here to guide the direction of your inner world. That is your power. That is your offering. To honor your imagination is to honor God. To ignore it is to deny your very reason for being. You were not made to drift. You were made to shape, to speak into the silence, and watch it echo back to you. And when you finally embrace this, something beautiful happens. You stop asking, why isn't it happening? And instead you begin asking, what am I creating now? In the end, you were never powerless. You were only unaware. All along, your imagination has been God in disguise. Quiet, patient, waiting for you to see. Not as a concept, but as reality. You are the dreamer, and the moment you awaken, the dream bends to your will. So use it boldly, use it faithfully, use it deliberately, or remain powerless. Not because life denies you, but because you never claim the throne within. Your imagination is God. Use it, or drift through a life shaped by the unconscious. Because once you know this truth, there are no more excuses, only creation. And so, if these words have stirred something within you, don't let them fade. Sit with them, feel them, let them echo in the quiet places of your heart. You were never meant to drift through someone else's dream. You were meant to remember who you are, to awaken to the creator you've always been. If this message has spoken to you, I invite you to walk this journey with me. Subscribe so you never forget, like if your spirit feels lighter now. Leave your story in the comments below. Your words may awaken someone else. And as you go, remember, you are not here to worship the light. You are here to realize you are it. Until next time, may you walk in clarity, in courage, and in quiet power.